Hey, Rob, what's going on, man?
Hey, Tim.
Full transparency as we jump into 5 and 6, we're doing these back to back. Rob's changing his clothes for no reason other than to try to fool you in the
Hey,
thinking that we did separate days.
and hey, that was supposed to be hidden. No one even knew till you bring that up. Yeah, let me make a note here.
Hey, guess what? Nobody even noticed that you changed your clothes, bro.
Well, who cares? And also, do you know what this stands for?
I have no idea.
Big Blue Nation, the University of Kentucky. I'm just saying, no big deal. You don't care?
Are you from Kentucky?
I went to high school in Kentucky, ninth through
Really?
12th grade. Oh yeah,
Wow.
there's a lot of Kentucky in this.
Okay. Well, I've got some stories, but probably shouldn't be that transparent.
Yeah, maybe not.
All right. All right.
Okay.
5 and 6.
Hmm.
Transparency is about both seen and being seen. And different leaders have different issues surrounding transparency. What do you got, man?
Okay. So first of all, I'm looking transparently speaking. I have a red mark on my head from the fact that I was wearing my hat in the last one when I had different clothes on when actually we just had that conversation. So I'm going to put my hat back on. So here we go. So here's what I thought about Tim is I looked up the definition of transparency. And this is where I got into this was having the property of transmitting light
Yep.
without appreciable scattering so that bodies lying beyond are seen clearly. And it says easily detected or seen through, readily understood, characterized by visibility or accessibility of information, especially concerning business practices. Here's the other deal. It never occurred to me in all my years of life that transparency, because when you think about it with leadership, so much of it's about being about seeing the leader.
Yeah.
We're asking leaders to do something, but transparency goes both ways. Like it's also about seeing. And so I just thought that was a very interesting that when we get into the depth of what this means is if I'm looking through a window, it's both me it's both whether I'm being seen and whether or not I'm actually seeing clearly. And I use the example of these windows in our my wife and I have these windows in our bedroom that have totally failed.
Yeah.
And we have a decent view out our window, but we can barely see it. It's like looking through a literal cloud at 40,000 feet. So I think both sides of that were really interesting to me about what it means in terms of leadership.
One of the things that leaders are called to do, I mean, one of their prime roles is to cast a vision that people can follow, right? So I
Right.
wonder if it's about seeing and being seen even when you look at the vision. So we're heading into uncertain times economically, right?
Right. Yeah.
Leaders are going to have to start casting an adjusted vision,
Hmm.
probably a shorter term vision, right? We're going to
Yeah.
be changing the way we do things because we don't know economically how things are going to go, how long they're going to be this way. And
Hmm.
that creates fear and uncertainty. So,
Yeah.
how can we be sure that our vision that we're casting to the people that we're leading is being seen clearly?
And it reminds me of Tim is that my time in India. So I spent a lot of time in India, and I've asked lots of leaders there about what is the most important leadership competency, and several of them have said this. I love this. They said it's the ability to read context quickly.
Yes.
Some version of that, and I we don't talk about that very often as a competence.
Yeah.
Are you able to walk into a situation because that's in many ways that's what it's seeing it clearly is about, and it's the question: am I seeing it clearly? Am I reading what's going on? Because you've mentioned this before, is like that the context is also affecting how I'm seeing it. And
Yes.
I've told over the years when I would prepare graduate students, I would tell them, I'd say, be aware of how the context within which you work, the culture that you're working in, whether it's a corporation or a smaller business or a nonprofit, how that's affecting your own feelings about yourself.
Yep.
Because that's
Absolutely.
going to affect how you see others, right?
Well, and I love how you brought up the feeling, right? Like how people are feeling, right? Because if we're very transparent coming into this time, people are going to feel that fear and uncertainty. But let me ask you a question. Is leadership all about just people feeling happy and secure? Is there not a value to people understanding the gravity of a situation? And I'll give you a quick anecdote. I know you love these.
Mm,
I used to actually protect people in some of the most dangerous places in the world.
yeah.
And there comes a time when situations get scary, things don't look good, people start to worry, and you have to bring them in the proper context and say, hey, here's the deal, right? This is the situation we're in. It's not good. These things can all happen, but we have all of these tools available to navigate this well. If you will only do these things, do what I tell you, follow me,
Mm,
we are able to get through this. I've done it 100 times.
hmm.
And you can let people feel and appreciate the gravity and the uncertainty of a situation that's not great while actually understanding that there's a plan forward that's feasible. What do you think about that?
Well, but so good. There's a lot there. I don't know why this is what came to mind, but I think fun because I was thinking about the choices you would make in letting people in on what's actually happening. Because I would imagine you've been in situations where you're not going to share everything because you can't afford the panic that might come. And so it made me think about the real point I think I was trying to make number 6. No, it was number 5, right? Was this that it's an inner it's both intrapersonal, it happens within us. So it's something that it's about us seeing, but it is fundamentally interpersonal. Like it's between us that we affect one another. I was with a CEO and his vice president in his living room, and he had told me he wanted me to come. So he goes like, Rob, bring it like you do. We want to get real, ask the hard questions, like let's go deep. Let's bring it out. Let's be transparent, all that. And then one of his vice presidents said, in that I invited that all out and said, there's times when I just am not feeling competent to do my job. So there it is.
There it is.
It was out there. And I'll never forget, the CEO stood up behind the couch that I was sitting on and said, I just want everyone to know that you are fully competent to do your job. And this is a CEO I love. It's not like I've been guilty of worse. You know what I'm saying? But what it was interesting was how that transparency came out, and you could tell it's going to affect other people in the room because this one vice president probably said something that other people were feeling. But then I think the concern that if this one person expresses reluctance, that level of seeing that person is going to affect the rest of the team. And then the CEO is like, well, then where am I? If my team lacks the confidence. It was really kind of made me think of that with what you said.
But that transparency that on that level can also be inspiring, right?
For sure.
And different leaders have different issues around that. So like, how can we just roll right into that next one?
I see what you did there. You just rolled right into number 6.
Like that one?
This is my way of saying, like, you know how I feel about this, that this is why one-off solutions to things like this. Like if I tell people, here's my 5 antidotes to non-transparent leadership, the reality I think is that we experience transparency in different ways for different reasons. Sure. or the tension and the risk of it. Maybe some of us have been burned in the past. Maybe some of us just don't think quite honestly, don't think it's appropriate. Maybe something that regarding the way we were raised, or that even the reality that the interaction between the type of leader and the context could affect the real reason behind why transparency is occurring or not occurring the way it is. And I think my main point is just that we have different issues with this, and also probably different responses.
I'll just wrap this up with something that I'm actually well known for at my actual job in tech. But people think it's funny and they think it's a ploy, but it's not. So I came straight from government service in the technology, and the imposter syndrome stacked up like as tall as a Sears tower. And I said, man, I'm going to be fired immediately, so quickly, because I have no idea what's going on here. But I started grabbing people that actually knew what was going on and letting them in on the secret that I have no idea what's going on. I need your help. Here's the problem. Here's the proposed solution. I can't bridge the gap on my own. And it turns out that when you find really smart people that love their work and you tell them you are relying on them to fix this, to brainstorm this, to create this, they love that autonomy.
Hmm.
And because it's obvious that I can't do it, they get full credit. And that is actually a key to my success. And now I start most projects with new teams. Like, I'm the dumbest person in the room. I have no idea what's going on here. Here's why.
Yeah.
And people really like that. And so that's one way of an insecurity of mine, just putting it on full display and using it as a project roadmap.
Yeah. I would love to be a fly on the wall for what you do with your team sometimes. And maybe I will be someday.
Maybe it will be someday.
Really good.
All right, Rob. Catch you next time, bro.
Peace.